medicine in Cuba. You know, before Castro, Cuba had a really premier medical system. The University of Havana had one of the best medical schools in the world. Most of those professors are now living in Florida because they were attacked just like anybody else who was a professional. The other thing that happens, besides all the things that Senator Domingue talked about, is because doctors cannot make any money on their socialized medicines, doctors will leave this country if socialized medicine comes. It happened from Canada. A lot of Canadian doctors came over here to try to practice medicine in this country because they couldn't make any money. The same thing happened in Cuba. Thousands of medical doctors came to this country and now are practicing medicine at MD Anderson, at the Mayo Clinic, and all over this country. Socialism doesn't work. It has never worked. You know, if you think about the history of this country, you know, when the Pilgrims came to America, that very first year, they started a communistic experiment, an experiment in socialism. They said, all right, we have all this land in front of us. Let us all work it together. And we will share in what the land produces. You know that they almost starved to death. Almost half of them died that first year. But they had the brains and the flexibility to say after that first year, this doesn't work. I'll tell you what, everybody take their plot of land, you work it, you feed your family. And then it flourished. So the free enterprise system started in America in its second year. And it has brought us to be the most prosperous nation on earth. But I'll tell you, George Santillana said a long time ago, if we do not learn the lessons of history, we're bound to repeat it. You know, I remember when I came to this country, and I was so excited to be in the land of opportunity. I had read so much about this country and so much about the founding fathers. I fell in love with this country even before I got here. And then, as was said earlier, I got here, I didn't have any money. I had been involved in a revolution in Cuba, had been in prison, had been tortured, but by the grace of God, I came to the greatest nation on the face of the earth. And went to Austin, Texas, University of Texas, got a job as a dishwasher for a very simple reason. You don't need to speak English to wash dishes. And I couldn't speak a word. They bring you dirty dishes, you wash them, you get paid. I went to school full-time, worked full-time. And I'll tell you, I am 74 years old. I have never, ever in my life collected one nickel of unemployment. If I lost a job, and just like everybody else, I lost a job. So if I lost a job at 3 o'clock, at 3:05, I was out pounding the streets. And then, in 1976, I was shocked again. When I saw a government in this country begin to institute socialized policies that perhaps many Americans didn't recognize, but I recognize very clearly. Some of you remember the Carter years, with double-digit unemployment, interest rates that were double-digit, 22% interest rates, as a matter of fact. Inflation was over. There were lines around the block to get gasoline. A government so weakened in their foreign policies that Iran had become emboldened and kept a whole bunch of Americans hostage for 444 days. It was not a coincidence that those men were released the day President Reagan was inaugurated. But President Carter did something for me. It inspired me to get involved in the political arena and to do all I could to restore freedom to America. I remember I would tell my son, Ted, you know, Ted, when I lost my freedoms in Cuba, I had a place to come to. If we lose our freedoms here, where are we going to go? There is no place to go. There is no place to go. And you know, people say, oh, this could never happen in America. This is happening in America. But you know, the challenge is that we're losing our freedoms a little bit at a time. A little bit at a time. Not like it happened to me that I saw them taken away overnight. And so what has happened is we have become, well, you know, it's okay. It just, you know, complacency has become a way of life. There are two maladies that are destroying this country. The first one is political correctness. And we must get rid of political correctness. Political correctness has made us lose the last two presidential elections.
Amen.
But there's another malady, and that is complacency. Complacency. It's like boiling a frog. You know, if you take a frog and you dump it in a pot of hot water, that frog's going to jump right out. But you put a frog in a pot of cold water, and you put that pot on the stove, and that water is just warming up a little bit at a time. And that frog is comfortable. That frog is complacent. And it gets to the point to where that frog can't get out and you can boil that frog to death. And we are being boiled to death just like that frog.